Man, let me tell you, dude, this defensive end group is getting pretty interesting right off the rip heading into spring. Dabo gave some pretty, I don't know, I don't think it's shocking news by any means, but he definitely confirmed some rumors or some thoughts that a lot of Clemson fans had of what might be done with this edge position, with this defensive end position. We've talked at length on this show about the lack of depth behind TJ Parker on this defensive end group, right? You lose Xavier Thomas, you lose Justin Maskell, you lose a bunch of, a couple veteran guys that had a ton of snaps within their Clemson career. All that experience walks out the door, and TJ Parker's just kind of sitting here like, hey, who's going to be playing over there? Because I know I'm good, but I can only lock down one side. Okay, I'm really good, but I can only lock down one side. So Clemson's response to that, obviously, some people thought they would go to the transfer portal. Dabo said explicitly in his press conference that he didn't feel that anybody in the portal was going to come help them. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but at the end of the day, we have now moved Peter Woods and Caden Story to defensive end. I'm really excited about what these moves could do for the Clemson Tigers. I think it's going to work out pretty well for us. We all know what Peter Woods can do on the field. We saw his freshman campaign last year. He absolutely dominated in the middle of Clemson's defense. The superlatives for Peter Woods go on and on. He showed up to Clemson, and he was as advertised from jump. From day one, he was as advertised, and he didn't skip a beat throughout all of last season. I'm sure he'll slim down a little bit going to defensive end, but Dabo said that he would still play some defensive tackle throughout the season, specifically in passing situations. And then you got Caden Story. He's already trimmed down some, so he's gone from 280 down to 260, a little bit leaner, standing at 6'3". So excited to see what he could do at the end position and really contribute. And the reason that Clemson can make this move is look at the defensive tackle position, Jordan. Look at the names that you can rattle off for our defensive tackle, not mentioning Peter Woods, right? That's Trey Williams, DeMonte Capehart, Peyton Page, Stephylan Green, Vic Burley. The list goes on and on and on at defensive tackle. I mean, we could just roll these dudes in seemingly down after down and not miss a beat because it's deep and it's really good. So that affords us the ability to move a guy as good as Peter Woods last year was at the defensive tackle position. We can move him to end and probably not miss much of a beat at the defensive tackle position because of how deep it is, right? So that's an exciting thing. I think we'll be just fine at the defensive tackle position, obviously, because of all the names I rattled off. But listen to this, and this is something that I saw in an article, I think. The defensive end group outside of TJ Parker have 128 combined career snaps for Clemson. Peter Woods last year as a freshman tallied 307 snaps. So he's got more snaps as a Clemson player in one season than all the rest of the defensive ends do outside of TJ Parker in their entire career. That's crazy.
That's wild.
That's scary, the lack of depth that we have at that position. So thankfully, we got Peter Woods and Caden Story over there now, some guys with some real playing experience for the Clemson Tigers. Hopefully it works out. We'll see what the young guys behind them do. You got AJ Hoffler, Adam Kasai, who's, freshman. We'll see what he can do. Tall, lengthy dude. He's got to kind of fill out his body probably before he gets on the field very much. Cade Denhoff, we've mentioned him a couple times when talking about the end position, how well he played in that bowl game. Can he continue that and capitalize that in spring practice and throughout spring? And then Zaire Patterson, question mark. I mean, does he take a step?
Yep.
It's now or never for him, I think.
It certainly is.
It's now or never.
Yeah, and Dabo he's made it a point, multiple times to call him out specifically because I don't know. I really want him to work out But it is certainly now or never, because look at you just mentioned it. I mean, this room is only going to get better.
Yeah.
You mentioned Adam Kasai, Darian Mayo as well. I'm really high on Darian Mayo. You look in next class, you got Ari Watford and Amari Adams. Like you have Isaiah Campbell. You have a lot of bodies coming into this defensive line room, and for a guy like Zaire Patterson, who's been in the program for now, this is his 4th season now. It's he hasn't played. He didn't play much last year, and now it's getting further and further. Where you now have Peter Woods and Caden Story moving over into his position and clogging it up even more. It's kind of a it's kind of, when are you gonna realize that, hey, this is it, almost. And things, he has eligibility, so I don't necessarily want to prescribe it that much that it's like, oh, he'll never be good, because we saw what Justin Mascall looked like in his last year. But the light bulb is, at a certain point, you can't keep waiting for the light bulb to come on. He's got to want to be able to be great,
Right.
because he certainly had the talent coming out of high school. He was a top 150 player. But he hasn't had that focus, that drive, and that dedication to really want to be a great football player, and that's it's disappointing. So we'll see what maybe they'll sometimes all it takes is just one moment to realize, hey, this is it for me, and then that light bulb comes on. But I'm not holding out hope. So there's a lot of prove it in this defensive end room right now. And the move, I think not only did Dabo moving Woods and Story over, for just practicability standpoint, but also to send a message to those guys, the Cade Denhoffs, the especially Zaire Patterson. We talked about Jaheim Lawson. Armand Mason, they've talked about. I know he's injured, so unfortunately, but that room needs some guys to step up, because at the end of the day, it's like, well, man, Peter Woods, as great as he is, if he gets hurt,
who do we got?
What
TJ Parker? What if he gets hurt? You know what I'm saying? It's and I think that's a good point, because if not now, then when? For guys like, and I'm not speaking disrespectfully about these players at all. It's just they came in with such high ceilings, such great potential in a Cade Denhoff, in a Zaire Patterson, Jaheim Lawson. Those guys, they have to develop, and hopefully, like you mentioned, this is kind of a kick in the butt for them. This is kind of a wake up call. Like, hey man, like, if not now, then when? Because you mentioned the young guys coming in, right? Adam Kasai, he's already on campus. He's already getting reps. Darian Mayo, he'll be here in the summer, and he'll be getting reps.
He's here.
Oh, he's here? I thought he was a summer enrollee.
Yeah, Darian Mayo he's a early enrollee, I believe.
Okay, cool. All right. I thought that's my bad. I thought he was a summer enrollee. But those guys are on campus right now. They're getting reps. So, if
I might be wrong about that. Let me check.
You're gonna get buried. My point is you're gonna get buried in a depth chart eventually, right? And at this point in time, you've been in the system for long enough. You should be able to figure it out, right? And I hope those guys can really have a breakthrough this spring.
You're right. I had them. I get them flipped all the time. I don't know why I do that.
Okay. So Darian Mel coming in the summer, right? So that's even more guys that are coming in that are going to be vying for that same playing time that you're trying to get. So I hope it's a wake up call for these guys, both because I hope they go on to have really good careers at Clemson, and two, because selfishly as a Clemson fan, I want us to have the best opportunity to win. And that is, the best opportunity for Clemson to win is to have quality depth behind a Peter Woods and a TJ Parker. Those guys can't be out there every single snap, right? There's got to be some semblance of a rotation, and we need those guys to step up. We need a Cade Denhoff to step up. We need a Zaire Patterson to step up. We need a Jaheim Lawson to step up. A Kasai, a Mayo. We need those guys to become quality depth, because guess what? Injuries happen. Unfortunately, that's a part of football. And, just having 2 guys to roll out there or 3 guys to roll out there is not the best situation to be in, especially in big-time college football when you're 1 snap away from your backup now being your starter. So I hope that's the wake-up call that these guys need to really get it going. From a motivation standpoint, from a, just staring your own career standpoint, I hope they can get it together for both them and for the Clemson Tigers team as a whole.
Absolutely. And so, this is probably, this is the most important spot on defense, going into this year, because, the staff has talked about wanting to be bigger. They want to be able to set the edge better in the run game. That's something that this team struggled with at times last year. And you saw, when you didn't maintain gap integrity, big run play. They didn't give up a ton of. They didn't give up. In 2022, it was the big passing plays that really killed them. And this year it was the run play, and then not to the same degree, but still there were moments in every game where it's broke off a big run. The Miami game, they broke off a big run. North Carolina, and so you want to. That's not what you want to be as a defense. And, Wes Goodwin has talked about it, and that's just something that they can't afford to be. They can't be a team that, it's already, you want to make it tough for the opposing offense to, get a first down. But if they're, one big play, they've gotten 5, 6, 7 first downs just in one play. And so essentially, it's going to be important for this group for a lot of reasons. And, we haven't, another thing is we haven't had the pass rush necessarily. The pass rush has been good the last couple of years, but, you haven't generated the same amount of pressures and sacks, especially sacks, that you used to be able to, like in tackles for loss. Under Brent Venables, that was a staple of this defense. They led the country in sacks from from the 2012 to through Brent Venables last year. I believe Clemson was number 1 in total sacks, or maybe it was Pitt. That might have been a shorter time period. But I know through Venables' entire tenure, Clemson led the nation in sacks and tackles for loss. And so that's how you get off the field, is generating negative plays. And so if this group needs to be able to do that and also stop the run. And we need more than just TJ Parker, and we need more than even, Peter Woods moving in. You still need more than that, because injuries happen. They can't play it, or even just one of them gets tired. And it's like, I gotta sit out for a series.
Yeah.
Can you put somebody in? Can Caden Story come in and give you that? Or can it be one of your veterans? AJ Hoffler. He's not a veteran, but AJ Hoffler's another young guy. Cade Denhoff, Zaire Patterson, can you get those guys to come in and give you quality snaps? And so it's going to be interesting to hear kind of how that whole position battle and sort of the competition at that position is kind of playing out.
Yeah, and that's good. That's going to be one of the big question marks for spring is, can we develop the quality depth behind the guys that are going to run out there first, because that's going to be very important for how good this Clemson defense is going to be in 2024. And I think they got a chance to be really good, but that depth is going to be super important as the season goes on. And, everybody knows the grind of a season. So, we'll see how it looks as spring goes on. Hopefully we start to hear some good returns and, some positive things coming out of particularly that position group.